and we continuously overeat more and more and more, but we're not giving the body what it needs, so you're creating a deficiency, you're creating an exhaustion, you're creating all these many issues, and you're not giving yourself enough time to heal from the damage that you've done. Overeating and undersleeping are these two causes, and we're going to see with the formula for health how to overcome this. But these are the things we have to think about. Now, the question in everyone's mind should be, why do we overeat? And from a physical standpoint, we overeat because the food's low quality. But then from an emotional, mental standpoint, we're programmed to overeat. We're programmed to overeat, you know. And somebody said we overeat so much, more people die in the kitchen than any other room in the house. But there's something more deadly in our house than the food we're eating. It's what makes us to think we're not having enough, and makes us think we need more and more and more of it, and makes us overeat. The most deadly thing in our house, that if you truly want to be healthy, get rid of these things immediately. The television set, the TV. There's a reason why they call it programming, because it programs us to overeat and take medications and drugs and do all these crazy things that we would never normally do. You know, now we have to understand the difference between a habit and addiction. And the habit is when we do something on a regular basis that we enjoy. When we find out it's bad for us, we break that habit. And addiction is when we do something on a regular basis that we enjoy. When we find out it's bad for us, we make excuses to keep doing it. We have to change our addictions to habits and break them. And one of the biggest habits we have other than overeating is watching TV. I have a rule about TV. Unless I'm on it, don't watch it. We have to understand TV, you know, it's a TV program, because I have a DVD. It's TV programming. It's not, you know, you want to have control over it. You don't want them to have control of you. Most of the things on TV just make people live in fear, and when they live in fear, they're overeating and so on. And I see it all the time. People make these excuses. They say, Paul, I would love to come to your lecture. I just don't have enough time. I go, really? And then I go to the house and do something crazy like watching the Weather Channel 2 hours a night. And it's not even where they live. That's how crazy and backwards it is. It just makes us, you know, I challenge you, if you want to be healthier, put your TV in your closet for a whole month, and you'll be much healthier. And I don't mean with the door open and the TV plugged in. And your life will change for the better. But we must continue to look on this. Before I give you the formula for health, we must continue to see the connection. And now, if you can't get rid of TV, at least get rid of the most dangerous thing on TV, the news. Do you know more people die watching the news than any other time of the day? Now, if you're watching the news in your kitchen, you're in big trouble. But that's what's happening. It gives us information that's just negative. It makes us think bad. People say to me, well, if we don't watch the news, how do we know what's going on in the world? I guarantee if something is going to happen important enough where you need to know about it, somebody will tell you. I have people call me up all the time when something bad happens. I'm like, what happened now? Can you ever call me with good news? But that's it. Then people say, well, if we don't watch the news, how do we know what the weather's going to be outside? This is why they make windows in houses. The weatherman's wrong most of the time anyway. So we have to understand all this stuff. And I found out something very interesting recently. And I'm going to talk about it tonight, but if you read my blogs and my newsletters and you know what's going on here, I know we have one fellow here that really is doing it and experiences the benefit of this. How many people are getting my newsletter, by the way? There's an email list coming around. Is that going around? Who has that email list? Okay, it's coming around. Sign your email on there, and I'll put you on my newsletter list. But I also have a blog on my website as well. And I'm gonna give you my website in a little while. But we have to understand something. The problem is not just overeating and undersleeping. Because I found out, you know, and I tell everyone, this is amazing that we're here tonight, because there's a very special man here. And, well, he seems special because nobody else has accomplished what he has accomplished around us. But it's not special because our Creator tells us that's what we're supposed to accomplish. There's a man here tonight who's 170 years old. I'm just kidding, he's 107. He's 107 years old. And when I tell people that, they go, whoa, like it's an amazing thing. But we shouldn't be saying, whoa, we should be saying, we should all be that age. Because our Creator tells us we should be 120 years old. And what does he do? He practices temperance. He doesn't overeat. He gets to sleep. He makes sure his emotions are in check. You know, it's these simple things. It's not about going to the store and spending thousands of dollars on bottles and potions and all these other things. It's just about our Creator gave us the fruits and vegetables to eat. He told us when to sleep. He told us when to be awake and so on. And we start doing it backwards and we get ourselves in trouble. You know, if you really wanted to have a good game, the best game would have been to tell everyone to look around and pick out who that person was. Nobody would have got it right. Because not only is he that age, but he doesn't even look it. He doesn't even look half that age. As a matter of fact, so many people here look a lot older than he does. But that's just because of our lives. You know, we're just always rushing. I have found out the most common disease today that goes misdiagnosed is adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, exhaustion of the hormones is so common today because people are just living off stimulants. They're stimulating themselves to get up. They're stimulating themselves to stay awake. They're stimulating themselves emotionally with TV. Then they have the nerve to say they can't get to sleep at night. And that's what people are doing. So we have to understand this, and we see just a little clear example of where we went wrong. Not only are we overeating, but the amount we eat and the times we eat and how often we eat is just craziness. I mean, we look at in our scriptures, and our Creator tells us it's ideal to eat 2 times a day, maybe even 3 times a day. We look at history, and they only had 2 meals a day. But the more people started to eat, as we started getting money, people started to eat more and more. People started to get sicker and sicker. We live in a time today we have more money for science and technology than ever before in the history of man, and we have more disease than ever before in the history of man. But we also have more people than ever before in the history of man rejecting the word of our Creator. Don't you see the connection there? He tells us the simple things we need to do to be healthy. And it's simple, but most people overlook it because they'd rather follow what's popular in the world instead of saying what His Word says. He says in Genesis 1:29, I gave you the fruits and the vegetables. He said, I gave you the fruits and the vegetables, and you eat them raw, ripe, fresh, and organic, and you eat them with the seeds in them, and you eat them in their right seasons. And He says the times that are ideal to eat them, and so on. See, we look at the times. The ideal times to eat our food are the 3rd hour and the 9th hour of daylight. The 3rd hour and the 9th hour of daylight. So the ideal time, if we got up at the ideal time when the sun came up, about 6 o'clock in the morning, the ideal time to eat our first meal would be around 8 o'clock, and the ideal time to eat our second meal would be around 4 o'clock, between 3 and 4 o'clock. And if we did that, we'd give ourselves 5 to 6 hours before we went to sleep. Our stomachs would be empty. We'd get wonderful sleep. We'd wake up and we would be hungry. Now people are eating midnight snacks. They're eating in the middle of the night. There's actually, I used to joke about this, but I found that it was true. There's something called, I used to kid around walking. There's something called sleep eating. That's where somebody would actually go to sleep, get up in the middle of the night, walk to the refrigerator without knowing it, pull some food out, eat it, put it back in the refrigerator, and go back to sleep. It's a true disorder. I tell people, you know, that wouldn't be too bad if they were getting something healthy, but they're going to the refrigerator and getting something unhealthy. But there's only one thing worse than going to the refrigerator and eating something and not knowing it so late at night. It's going to the refrigerator and getting something and knowing it and continuously doing it. Late night eating is so bad, and because when you eat right before you go to sleep, you're not giving your body enough time to heal in the process because your body's digesting the food 3 to 5 hours after you've eaten it. So if you eat something at midnight and you go to sleep and you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 of those hours your body was digesting the food and you've gotten about 1 hour of sleep. If you've eaten your last meal 4 to 5 hours before you went to sleep, then your body's getting a whole night of that true healing. That's what we need to understand. It's getting that precious sleep that our body needs to do the healing. And when we let that happen, we're going to be healthy. That's one of the keys. You can go months without food, days without water. Try going 1 night without sleep and see how you feel. Try going 2 and then watch what happens. Sometimes you can't even remember your name. Sleep is so important to get the proper amount of sleep. We need that. So we continuously think about this, the connection between our food, because food takes more energy from the body than any other process, any other thing we do is a process of digestion. Some people say we get energy from food. No, we get stimulation from food, which we actually need because we're creating such an energy loss. But if we eat very little, if we're eating good quality food, we don't need to eat often.